All right. America's crime crisis, not just contained to major cities. Look at this. Rochester, New York, smashing its previous homicide record, now facing a higher murder rate per 100,000 people than Chicago, New York, and Compton, California. Our next guest says the Democrats' push to defund police left him and his community behind, and he's looking to change that. Rochester former Police Chief La'Ron Singletary, he's running for Congress to represent the city he policed for 20 years. Chief, thanks so much for joining us. What prompted you to take off that uniform and put on a suit and run for office?
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for having me. It's about, politicians who decided to put politics over people, and that's just wrong. Like Ronald Reagan said, I didn't lead the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left La'Ron Singletary. And for me, it's about wanting to serve people, meet people where they are, and lead them in a better spot. The last 2 years, the Democratic Party has been trying to rid of policies that have been disproportionately impacting the African-American community and Hispanics. And defund the police has done just that. It makes no sense whatsoever. Defunding the police is like removing the wood from the bottom of your boat to fix your deck. It makes no sense.
So what people are saying, like the president says, I was never for that. I'm for refunding the police. That's a small part of the party. And, we didn't go through with that. Now we're funding police. Is it all forgiven, no problem?
No, I don't think it's forgiven. I think voters are going to go to the polls this November and vote their values. And I think public safety is definitely one of their values. When people don't feel safe, they will vote differently this November. People want safe neighborhoods for their children, their grandchildren. Just over the weekend, Brian, we had a 10-year-old who was shot in her home, in her house, minding her own business, shot in her chest. That's just unacceptable. It's uncalled for. Last year, as you know, we were one of 17 cities that broke homicide records here in Rochester. We had 81 homicides, over 419 people shot. And this year, I think we have 23 homicides with close to 100 people shot. So we're on pace to repeat 2021.
And you think part of the problem is you can't get any cops. You have how many positions open right now that are just not filled? People don't want to do it.
Yeah, from what I understand, we're about 100 police officers short. And I can tell you as a former police chief, Brian, that when you are that many police officers short, you could not adequately address crime.
Right.
We have a police accountability board that has 55 members that has no authority to discipline police officers, but yet we have 12 investigators in the major crimes unit that investigate homicides. 12 investigators investigating 81 homicides. That's a heavy lift. And I think we're seeing some of the consequences as a result of the defund the police movement. When you see police officers who are leaving the force in record numbers, they're retiring, resigning because they don't feel supported, Brian.
Hawk Newsom, who ran the New York chapter of Black Lives Matter, was on with Dana and Bill last week. And when talking about Eric Adams, who's a Democrat, and some of the things he's doing, like called out Black Lives Matter and cracking down on crime and getting rid of homeless encampments, he basically said, using a derogatory term, he's sellout to the black community. He's a sellout. And I'm using a term that because I want to homogenize this. Do you get pushback in the black community now that you're a Republican?
Well, I think there are some people who do feel that that I changed parties, that I left the Democratic Party. But I tell you what, I think people, when it comes down to public safety and the issues that's affecting this country, and this public safety will be the number one issue. Public safety, when it comes to that, people are having a sense of change of thought. Public safety is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's an American issue. It's a people issue. People want to feel safe. And that's why I urge people to visit singletaryforcongress.com and put a former police chief in Congress.
All right, La'Ron, thanks so much. Appreciate you joining me. La'Ron Singletary, trying to straighten out Rochester by going to Washington. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
You got it.